I know you have been following the protests by the students, right?
That's right.
And last night's rally at Thammasat University in Rangsit was certainly the biggest anti-government protest since 2014.
That's right.
But what set off the alarm bells was the fact that all of a sudden, I mean, reforming the monarchy has been added to the list of demands by the protesters. Were you surprised? Were you surprised by that?
The thing is like, of course, like I was surprised by the certain extent that this issue have been raised in this particular period of time, because like the former petitions mostly are related to constitution drafting, elimination of intimidation and human rights violation, and also at the end expecting to dissolve the parliament. But this time the demand has been escalated into a certain very important institution of Thai political, social, and administration structure. So it brought some surprises to me.
Yes. Many people think that the protesters have crossed the line. Do you think they have done so?
The thing is, like personally, I still haven't really listened to all the how you call it, like the speaking of last night. But from the summary that I have read from several news, both like mainstream news and in the social media, the thing is like it is hard to say that whether it is crossing the line, but I would like to address certain principles. Actually, last time when I was here, I already mentioned that normally we discuss about the monarchy as usual, because the monarchy is one of the supreme social institutions of this country.
Yeah.
So when we discuss about like the rule of law, the relations in the social structure, so then we still have to mention about the monarchy, monarchy as an institution, right? And then, but the thing is like there are several issues from last night that are related to a certain extent of the personal, which is the monarch, not the monarchy. So the thing is like I have been trying to discuss with several academics today whether what kind of extent that people could be talking about the monarch. The thing is like we go back into the history, right? Even during the Buddhist era, very often when people want to address certain issues that are related to the monarch himself or herself, at certain points sometimes they use the technique of implication and also some kind of storytellings. Right? There are so many storytellings during the Lord Buddha's eras up until even in Thai history. So there are a lot of academics or those who are concerned with the issues, trying to tell the stories to the concerned monarchs in the particular time. So then there are certain extents that the opinion could be delivered with certain extent of implication, and that's what had been done for so long. And then many of the implications are really on the friendly manner, not being the attack or attacking to the person very directly.
So you mean discussing the issue of the monarchy is not a taboo, but depends on how you do it.
Yes, this is how you do it. Okay. It's not something that is prohibited for discussion, because like as an institution, it's very important to discuss about that.
But under Thai law, it's also framed by Lese Majesty law. And last night the discussion was openly debated on the stage. And right now Thammasat, especially Rangsit campus and the management of Thammasat University has been under much criticism. And how do you see the venue like university should react or should be prepared because of course the young students, young protesters are planning to stage their rally in different university campus.
The thing is like universities are places where the freedom of expression is the most concerned. So then I think we still have to really maintain such how you call that mentality of it, or such belief, or just holding that value. But the thing is like there are certain ways to make the management of the script, for example, or I discussed with several of those who have been mobilizing demonstration in the past. Normally, they can have the plot what they are going to talk in certain period of time, or who is going to talk about what. So then I think to prevent from because like some criticism might not be how you call it constitutionalized at this point. So then because like at least the monarch is immune by the constitution at least in this constitution. So then it is a caution that we have to. I mean, those demonstrators must be aware of this.
You know, in the eyes of many people, it looks like the table has been turned on the students now. So you think there's a need for the student, the protester, to come out and try to explain to the public what they really stand for on this issue?
The thing is, I hope in the past, because I think we have met a couple of weeks ago, and since then I have been hoping that the students would be able to elaborate the three demands that they have announced last time with certain details and with certain steps forward. So then it can explain, they can explain to the public of what they exactly want. But the thing is like it is still quite difficult to catch the elaboration of those three demands up till now, even in 3 weeks later after. So then I would urge the students to get back into the demand and try to elaborate those demands. The more rational ways of explanation, and then it could be really explained. I'm not thinking about like convincing, but at least to explain to the public of exactly what what you want and how the public could interact, either joining or defeating. Doesn't matter, but at certain point, some elaboration of those demands still necessary.
Prime Minister has already expressed his uncomfortable feeling toward the gathering last night, and probably he will be inviting all the students' representatives to be meeting with him. Should they take that opportunity to explain to Prime Minister and to the public what they meant by 3 demands or even more demands?
The thing is, it's very generosity of the Prime Minister to initiate that. But the thing is, I'm not sure whether the students will trust him. The thing is like he is also right now a major conflicted party, one of the conflicted parties, like the major concern of the conflicted parties. So
because some of the demands were aimed at him.
99% of the demand aims at him to step down and handing the power back to the people. So then that's the first step, whether he can gain the trust from the students, at least to be facing on the same table. So if he could build the trust for the students to go and talk to him, so then we can talk. Then we can discuss about whether it is a suitability that the student will talk to him.
Then when you say the student should come out and elaborate on the demands, right? Does it mean that we have already a clear idea as to who these student leaders are? whom that we should, that the public should trust there?
The thing is like as we discussed several times that this kind of demonstration is the rhetoric, and then it spreads almost everywhere, and the leaders might not be really stick to the same group, so then it's quite difficult to identify who is the leader, and then very often I believe that the leading roles of these student groups are very much collectives. So then to have a certain group of people to be the representative of all the groups, I think it's quite difficult.
But despite the fact that we may have different banners under which the demonstrations have been held, right?
Yeah.
But do you think these student leaders, whoever they are, do they have a unified stand on these issues?
The thing is like because I have been following up like the request from time to time, and then of course like the issue related to the drafting of the people constitution is there for sure.
Okay.
The willing to have the election as soon as possible.
Okay.
With a free and fair
Yeah.
atmosphere, that's very
common
clear.
ground.
That's common ground.
Okay.
So I think like most of the groups are really going on this, and of course like with the intimidation and human rights violation, you can see very obviously even it's not coming up with physical abuse, but they are using the legal abuse like strategic lawsuit against public participation is still applied. So then this kind of thing is clearly seen that it's still the demand that is hanging in the air.
So, but the demand for a reform of the monarchy do not necessarily have to reflect the desire of all the groups, right? It could have come from just one particular group of students.
I still don't see the direct relevance of this issue in several other groups. So then I think, but it yet to be concluded or addressed at this moment. So then we still have to wait and see of how the dynamic is moving on.
And how do you see sentiment of the opponents of the youth protest? Because they also coming out to express their uneasiness of what's really happening.
I still believe that the majority of the Thai people used to with the system of the constitutional monarchy. I'm not sure whether they are used to because they are keen on the system, or because they are used to because they have been born with the system itself. But either ways, still some kind of belief that this country might need to go on with the current system. I think like the majority of people still think in this way. So then it is required some explanation, and of course it might not come from the students themselves, but I think it should come from the media and several academics who are expert in this, like the political system or social system, to come out and explain to the public that what are the extent of the criticism to the institution monarchy, or what can be done in this system. So I think it is the duty that we have to communicate to several groups of people who have different opinions right now. I still believe that the criticism of the students are not because they want to, to overthrow the system, but might be in certain extent they might require some changes or some, like you said, reform. But reform is a little bit too much. But some changes in the system, and these kind of changes, I can see that it's the same kind of with any social institutions in this country that from time to time we have to rethink about the relationship of the social institution and people, right? For example, like we discussed about the court system, in the past, we believe that, okay, the court verdict is the end, and then the system that we establish the court is something that we don't have, I mean, people like us don't have to involve. But at this moment, there are more requests or more demand of the people that maybe we have to reconsider that people should be really at least certain points involved with the system of the court. So I think this kind of demand is not because we don't want to have the court any longer, but we might have to get some changes, something that might be relevant to the period of time, to the generations that we have to go on and things like that. So then I think we might have to look into that dimension instead of making accusation of the bad intentions of each other.
No, but we cannot but help foreseeing a possibility of a collision course between the protesters and other sectors of the society. But as the leader of the country, what do you think the Prime Minister should do to prevent this thing from developing into a confrontation that may turn violent?
The thing is like the toleration of the government officials is a priority. The thing is like the people who are holding the power and of course armed are also most likely to use the violence against people. And even though, as I mentioned, that even we don't have the physical violence, but to use other sources of intimidation, like static lawsuits against public participation, or this kind of threatening, or this is already considered violence. So then it is the best recommendation that the government avoid or stop doing these things. So then at least even they don't release the air from the balloon, but they don't put more air in the balloons. So I hope that the government would be consider this as some kind of a very keen suggestion for them, and very frankly speaking. Another point is that the government, at least at this point, is not holding some part of the public. The government is a government for everyone, including those who are protesting and trying to kick the government out. The government is still their government, our government. So then the role of the government in protecting the rights of the people to preserve our safe and security is very important as well. So this is also should be the concern of the government. And moreover, the government should at least trying to explain to the public of what is the parameter of the exercises under the constitution right now, and what is very lawful for them to protect their rights, not just to suppress them.
And what's your take of this situation? Because Thailand is also under spotlight of foreign media. The foreign journalists paying much attention on the situation as well. Should the government or what should the protester bear in mind as well of the international spotlight on Thailand?
The thing is like, even though I have a lot of relationship with international organizations and governments, but I think like let it be. The thing is like we fix our problem, and then and whatever they acknowledge would be the fact that we are trying to fix the problems ourselves. And of course, like there are some international institutions or governments concerned on the situation. It is the duty of the government and also the duty of the protesters to explain to them of what are the facts that is going on. And the thing is like when we talk about the fact is very difficult to explain if we are mixing the fact with some source of our own perceptions with certain level of self-interpretation. So then we have to, when we explain to the international world or international partners, we should focus on really the fact what is going on. But what we make from the interpretation, we have to how you call that bear in mind that we should be cautious on that.
So if a dialogue between the Prime Minister and the student protesters does materialize, what do you think should be the outcome of this meeting? I'm sure that the Prime Minister is not going to say, I'm going to resign as you want.
The thing is like at the beginning, I still don't believe that it's going to happen very soon. But of course, it would be good if it could happen. And the thing is like when and then if this kind of discussion or the dialogue between the government and the representatives of the protesters going on, I don't think that it should be only one time. There might be a lot of levels and several discussions or the dialogue, because to build trust, to make rational recommendations and to address difficult issues or sensitive issues also very important, and it requires so much time, especially when there are a lot of stakeholders in this conflict. So then the timing is also very important.
And you're optimistic, right? That things will not turn violent.
At this point, I believe that the students would not be the one who ignites the violence, because this kind, not because I know them personally, but because the characteristic of the demonstration is a short period of time. I don't call it flash mob, but it's a kind of a short period demonstration. So then it is very difficult to how you call that, to initiate any violence action. And of course, like the students who comes, they have certain purpose to communicate, and then they go back home. So then the violence from the students is less likely. But the thing is, like as I concerned, that the government officials who are still armed and still authorized and a bit more powerful should be really concerned on their own toleration, give a little bit more elasticity to their own toleration.
Yeah, dialogue seems to be the best solution at this very juncture, at least to open up space for discussion.
To leave the space is also one of very important, but if you can have the dialogue, it would be a great issue. But the thing is, like apart from the dialogue, there are so many peaceful mechanisms that can carry on. But at this particular moment, I still don't see the channels of initiating those tools or mechanisms yet. But if there are certain period of time when there are more rational way of expression, both from the government and from the demonstrators. So at this certain point, there are many other mechanisms that could be initiated.